Anata stood frozen in front of the gilded door before her. A door that led to one of the premier magical schools in Azerheim. She had come here from her village in Shaman, deciding to move away from her family and friends for a chance to study magic and serve the god Sigmar. A transition that, at least at first, she found easier than expected. The thought of studying magic overcoming any homesickness she might have experienced. The only thing really bothering her up to this point was the food. Born as she was in the realm of metal, eating food that didn't have a metallic taste to it was something she still had to get used to. But now, standing before her future, the reality of her situation came full force. Feelings of dread overcoming any optimism she might have had. Still, she would not let such fear hold her back. Just as she was finally bringing up the courage to raise her hand and knock, the door suddenly burst open, revealing a tall man in a clean but well-worn multicolored robe, and an overly large pointed hat. A hat that seemed to change color depending on what angle you saw it from. Upon his tanned, wizened face was a thick, scraggly beard, and a pair of thin silver glasses. Glasses that, as far as she could tell, didn't have any lenses. Looking down, the old man gave a huge grin before saying in a high and almost grating voice, "Ah, a new student. Come in, come in. Let's begin your tour." "But," Anata said in shock, "don't I need to register? The instructions were very clear." "Child, you can worry about that later," the old man said dismissively. "For now, I need to show you the wonders of this school, and the future you have before you. Let us walk its halls, and I'll explain the institution you will become a part of." The Collegiate Arcane is an institution that has existed since the beginning of the Age of Chaos, when the great god Sigmar was sadly forced to close his gates to prevent the forces of the Dark Gods from laying waste to Azir. Before he did so, however, he allowed as many people as possible to flee into his domain. Of these, there were handfuls of soothsayers, sorcerers, and other magically adept humans from diverse and powerful magical traditions. Over time, these magic users gathered their magical knowledge to aid in the eventual return of Sigmar to the mortal realms, forming schools to pass their knowledge to the next generation, and crafting magical wonders to crush our enemies. And it is here, in one of these schools, young wizard, where you will learn the spells that will shatter the very realms. Well, not immediately. You will learn the more basic spells first. Mystical shielding, arcane bolts, as well as a few important cleanliness spells, extremely useful if you get into alchemy. But as you continue your education, you will find that one area of magic calls to you, tying one of the lores of magic to your very soul, making you one of 8 types of battle mages. As you can guess, one of the most popular lores around here is the lore of the heavens, being as we are in Azir, realm of heavens. The celestial mages, as they are called, use the magics of that lore to cast powerful spells using the power of the sky. The most iconic spell of this lore is Chain Lightning, strikes of lightning hitting your foe and then jumping off to strike other enemies nearby. And if you stand near a mage casting it, your hair stands on end. I've been working on a theory on why that happens. I think I need a few more decades to really crack it. As a bright wizard, you call upon the magic of the lore of fire. As you can guess, it's one of the most destructive lores, dealing as it does with flames, burning, and scorching, and also lots of screaming. One of the most direct spells they have in their arsenal is Fireball, a spear of flame that crashes into a group of your foes, destroying them utterly. And if you get a little excited, your allies. If that happens, I hope you're really good at running, because the survivors will probably chase you down. Accidents happen tends not to be a great excuse. The Amethyst Wizards deal with the lore of death, but they are not necromancers. Necromancers are servants of the god Nagash, and let's just say he and Sigmar aren't on speaking terms. No, the Amethyst Wizard uses death magic for the benefits of the forces of order, although admittedly their magic can cause some discomfort. One of their more well-known spells is Soul Steal. It literally steals portions of a person's soul, killing the weaker will pretty quickly. I long ago suggested calling it something less frightening, but Amethyst Wizards tend to have very little imagination. Light Wizards, as you can guess, uses the lore of light, revealing great truths, and blasting foes with rays of light. A pretty, if blinding, form of combat. Surprisingly, their most famous spell isn't a scorching blast of light, but a sort of energy surge within their allies, as if they received a bit of enlightenment that showed how powerful and special they can really be. A sort of magical form of pep talk. The gold wizards utilize the magic of the lore of metal, using it to transform or strengthen the arms and armor of their allies, or even transform their enemies. One of their most powerful spells is Final Transmutation, literally turning someone to gold. Not exactly sure why it has to be gold though. My guess? Wizards have a tendency to build up debt, and having a way to generate gold might be a way to alleviate that. Killing someone while doing it might just be a bonus. The Grey Battle Mages use the magic of the Lore of Shadows to mystify and confuse. Their Mystifying Miasma spell, for example, clouds an enemy's mind, making it harder for them to hit their targets. And their illusion spells are great for pranks and party tricks. Just because you're wreathed in shadow doesn't mean you can't have fun. The Amber Wizards use the Lore of Beasts to call upon the strength and skills of animals. Their Wild Form spell can make their allies feel the power of an impressive creature, like a manticore or a basilisk. However, the spell doesn't always work as intended. There was once an instance where a battle mage was really hungry, so hungry he could only think of having a steak, even when he was casting the spell, unintentionally giving the attached Free Guild company the strength and power of a domesticated cow. That particular skirmish did not end well. Finally, we come upon the Jade Wizards, using the Lore of Life to bring healing to their allies. One of their more useful spells is Life Surge. As you can guess, it heals those afflicted with mortal wounds. Not only that, but it can help shield the afflicted from further damage, their wounds sometimes healing instantly after the blow is struck. A bit of warning though, don't ask them to heal a paper cut. They will yell and scream at you, telling you it is beneath them, which I don't understand. I mean, paper cuts are really painful. Now, the Collegiate Arcane has more than just impressive magical abilities. It also has a wide array of magical devices created to enhance their magic in battle. There are quite a few, but I will simply show you the ones I find most impressive. The Luminarch of Hysh is a device that magnifies the magic of the Lore of Light, operated, as you can guess, by a Wizard of Light. Atop it is a series of focusing crystals that focus the Light Wizard's power into a searing beam of soul fire. From what I hear from its victims, well, actually I don't hear much at all from its victims. Hard to scream when you've been turned to ash. As impressive as the searing beam is, the Luminarch has other abilities that enhance the forces around it. It has an aura that allows mages to have an easier time unbinding spells, while also able to shield them from harm. And if the enemy gets close, the Light Wizard shall scorch the enemy with a ray of light directly from its eyes. The Light Wizard claims it has to be eyes because eyes are the windows to the soul. I say they do it because it looks really impressive. Operated by a Celestial Wizard, the Celestial Heracanum is a magical orrery atop of a battle altar. It is a powerful device that is able to unleash impressive magical devastation. Its Storm of Shemtek can unleash ice shard storms, lightning strikes, or even a meteor strike upon the enemy. And the wizard can summon a Comet of Cassandra to turn a foe into a crater. Not only that, but its presence can aid nearby mages in their casting, and allow nearby troops to see little snippets of the future, allowing them to strike blows they might have otherwise missed. Now usually, these mages and devices are used piecemeal by the forces of order, each one used where most think they will be best utilized. But in times of great strife, a war council is summoned, consisting of battle mages and various devices. It is led by a senior battle mage atop of a majestic two-headed griffin, the wizard giving orders to the battle mages below, and the battle mages following them, at least 90% of the time. Stopping on the 5th floor of the school in the middle of an empty hallway, the old man stopped and turned towards Anada, the same welcoming smile on his face. "Well, that's the basics. Any questions?" he said hopefully. "First, thank you very much, sir," Anata started, her tone thankful but unsure. "The tour was very informative, but I have to ask, what is your name and what do you teach here?" "Oh, sorry. How rude of me," the old man said apologetically. "My name is Freyun Sycamore, and I don't work here." With that, Freyun calmly walked to a nearby window, slowly opened it, and jumped out, head first. In a panic, Anata ran to the window and looked down, only to see an empty street down below with no body in sight. Before she could overcome her shock, Anada heard an annoyed voice behind her. "Excuse me." Turning around, Anada saw an older, dark-skinned woman in flowing red robes standing before her. Her face a scowl as her almost 2 meters of height towered over the young girl. "Little miss," she started, "what exactly are you doing here?" As she stumbled for an answer, Anada realized her first day at school may have gotten off to a rocky start. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this Age of Sigmar video. If you liked the video, please like, subscribe, and comment. And if you really like it, consider giving it to our Patreon. With the extra money, it gives me the time I need to write out these stories I love. Anyway, thanks for listening, and see you next time.